Hey, hello folks. Tell you what, good things are happening. 1,300 subscribers and more and counting. Want to say thank you so much for the support for Mr. Analyst. It's been just over 48 hours since we put up our first video, and your support has been phenomenal on all the platforms: X, Facebook, Instagram. It's and of course our YouTube page. The comments have been very, very welcoming and heartwarming, and I want to thank you all for that. Look, I did not expect anything like this. I expected maybe, if I was lucky, 50 subscribers on the first day. After I woke up after on Tuesday morning. There were only 2 subscribers, my wife and my mother-in-law. And I was like, okay, so let's see where the day takes me. Completely moved on from it because it's a new venture, so just kind of keeping my fingers crossed. But by the end of the day, we were close to 800, and when I woke up on Wednesday morning, it was well over 1,000 subscribers. So thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. Keep the subscriptions coming, because a guy's got to earn some money out of a job. And of course, keep the comments coming as well, because the conversations below have been quite interesting and engaging as well. So today I want to talk a little bit about the US trials that's coming up. It starts Thursday, and let's start with the bad news first, or let's start with some interesting news first, because at these championships, the defending 100-meter champion for women, Shakira Richardson, got herself into a bit of a scrape on Monday, based on what we're hearing. Detained by the police at the Seattle airport on Monday night, and of course detained and eventually released. We heard that she had a kerfuffle with her other half, Christian Coleman. We haven't confirmed much of it yet, but we do know that she was detained. But you know, it seems as if drama follows this young lady, very talented young lady. Drama seems to follow her. Now for the bad news. The first 2 days of the US Championships will not be aired live. You can see the championships on USA Track and Field TV. I don't understand why this is happening, because we're at a place now where the United States has reclaimed much of what it has lost in the last few years to Jamaica in terms of the dominance that it used to enjoy. And now, with people like Noah Lyles and Shakira Richardson and Kenny Bednarek and Melissa Jefferson Wooden, you know, of course, Sidney McLaughlin, who wouldn't want to be at the US trials? But the Blue Ribbon events will not be seen live on TV. Max Siegel is the CEO of USA Track and Field, and he brings in a nice little handy salary of $3.87 million a year, yet they couldn't afford to get it onto TV. I'm serious. I mean, look, track and field has been struggling in the United States for years, for reasons that still kind of are a little bit confusing to me, because when you look at what happens in Europe, at the Diamond League meets all over Europe, the stadiums are full. In the US, not quite the same. It's not on TV in the US. The networks don't carry the Diamond League anymore. A number of track and field meets were cancelled this year. And of course, you know, based on what I'm hearing, some of the shoe sponsors have pulled their sponsorship of meets that were usually held in the US. I don't understand. If Max Siegel is earning all this money, why is the sport suffering the way it is, or has been in the US? It's to me, it's quite baffling, and it's quite disappointing, because when you have as many stars in track and field as they are in the United States, you would have thought that there would be a greater effort to get the sport on TV, to expose it more to a wider audience. And of course, the US is a large market, so that's one of the things that the sport needs. Europe alone can't sustain track and field, because it needs more support, it needs more funding, it needs more engagement from fans, especially in the US. So I don't understand what's happening. Of course, the ball is in the court of World Athletics President Sebastian Coe, and you know, so it's between him and Max Siegel to figure out what's going on with the US, why things aren't shaping up the way we all would have hoped. I understand all of the scandals over the year of Balco, you know, of course, Marion Jones going to prison, Tim Montgomery going to prison, all the different elements. Kelly White, who, was such a star for such a short time before her doping situation had her, thrown out of the sport. But if it's the doping issue, why does baseball still enjoy very good audiences? Why does the NFL enjoy very good audiences? Because all these athletes are doing the same thing, or have been doing the same thing. And in terms of entertainment, I'm a purist. So I like the idea that I can watch everybody in the world runs. Everybody runs. Of the 8+ billion people in the world, everybody runs. So the athletes who are at that level where they're running faster, jumping farther, or jumping higher, or throwing a steel ball farther than anybody can is significant. And for that reason alone, I think the sport should be engaging to more people. But unfortunately, in the US, the lack of exposure seems to be a problem, and that for me is a problem for, as a fan of the sport, a significant problem. Now let's get on to the more positive side of things. The things that we'll miss live, those that meet them won't be happening. And of course, as I mentioned before, Sha'Carri Richardson, the defending 100-meter champion, courtesy of the title that she won in Budapest in 2023 in 10.65 seconds, is likely to run the full event over 2 rounds, because there are only 2 rounds this year at the US Championships, at the US trials. So she is going to be testing where she's at, pretty much 6.5 weeks away from the World Championships. What she does here is going to be significant, because if she intends to defend her title, she's going to have to be able to run really fast. And I said it in my opening interview, my opening video on Monday night, that I believe that Julian Alfred and of course Melissa Jefferson Wooden are both ready to run 10.6. There are people who might not agree with me, but let's see what happens in Tokyo in just about 6-7 weeks time. But I do believe that if Sha'Carri is going to get the confidence that she needs to be able to compete well, she's going to have to run faster than the 11.1 that she's run so far this year. Fact is, there's so many other women who are faster than her in the US this year. 2 of them in her own club at Star Athletics. Melissa Jefferson, 10.73, and Tanisha Terry, 10.85, are both significantly faster than the defending world champion. So when you look at that dynamic, and of course people like Jamisa Ford, 10.87, and Alia Hobbs, 10.89, there are several women who, had Sha'Carri not been defending champion, she would have had a challenge getting onto that podium at the US Championships. It's going to be a tough battle for her, but it would be a good experience for her to go through, get at least a couple of races under her belt, because she hasn't raced that much. She had picked up an injury in February, and it's been a slow return to competition for her. So it's going to be crucial for her to do well here, not just for getting on the plane to Tokyo, because she's already qualified, but to boost her confidence, one, and to get a better sense of where she is compared to the rest of the women in the US, especially Melissa Jefferson, and of course the rest of the world. On the men's side, things are going to be equally interesting, because Noah Lyles also is the defending champion. He too has had injury issues all year. He ran a 400 earlier this season, he ran a 200, ran 100, but he lost to Oblique Seville in London. And while it's a very good season opener for him at 10 flat, he has some people competing against who are going to be running really fast, who he's going to have to beat to again get that confidence flowing ahead of the World Championships. Of course, he'll be hoping to get a few more races after the US Championships as well. But when you look at the fact that Trevon Bromell, 10.84 this year, Kenny Begler at 9.84 and 9.86, and of course, Jordan Anthony, who ran a 9.75 this year, slightly winded. The wind was 2.1, but I think he has a 9.85 as well, or 9.86, somewhere in that region. So, the reality is that Noah Lyles is going to have to want to prove to himself that he's ready, or is getting ready to take on the rest of the world in Tokyo, and take on the like of Kishane Thompson, and of course Oblique Seville, who many believe is ready now finally to climb to the top of the podium in Tokyo. So that's the 100. The other event that I think is going to generate a lot of interest this year is the 100-meter hurdles for women. That event is going to be, to me, off the chain. You're looking at Masai Russell, who is the fastest in the world this year and second fastest all time at 12.17. She's going up against Alicia Johnson, Grace Stark. You know, all of these women are capable of running 12.2s and possibly faster. Grace Stark has a season's best of 12.21, which is just outside the previous world record of 12.20 that is was held by Kenny Harrison, who is also in the mix as well. This is probably one of the deepest events in the world, because when you look at across the world, Sarina Samba Mayela from France, you're looking at Megan Tapper, and of course Akira Nugent from Jamaica, and of course the two-time defending champion, world champion, Daniel Williams. You're looking at so many young women. Of course, the Taji Kambunji from out of Switzerland. You're looking at a situation where the 100-meter hurdle is extremely deep, and any woman on any given day can win this. And of course, how can you forget Jasmine Camacho Queen as well? You're looking at so many talented women, 12.3 and faster. As Megan Tapper said in an interview after the national championships, 12.3 is now the former 12.5, because right now a lot of these women are running 12.2s and faster. So it's going to be critical for whoever makes it through to run perhaps 12.2, perhaps 12.1 to get onto the US team, because this is where it's at in terms of the world right now, in terms of how the women are competing. So that's an event that I think is going to be worth the price of admission. On the men's side, Cordell Tinch is in the men's 100-meter hurdles, 110-meter hurdles, and he's up against a very, very strong field that includes Jamal Britt, who has run 13.08 this year and who has beaten Cordell Tinch as well. They have Daniel Roberts, who's running without a huge sponsor, who I'm sure is now running for a sponsor. And of course, Dylan Beard, who's run 13.02 this year. Grant Holloway is the defending champion. So he has his bye, but he has had his struggles this year. And I suspect that he's going to be needing to get fit and healthy in the next few weeks if he's going to be able to defend his title in Tokyo. Right? And, look, there's so many different fantastic events going on. Jakar Patterson in the 400 meters, of course, with Quincy Hall out. The field is wide open because you have Quincy Wilson, who is 17 years old, who's running 44.1, who's clearly ready to take on the best in the world. And you're looking at Vernon Norwood, and of course the world indoor champion, Chris Bailey, who's been running really well all season, including at the Racers Grand Prix here in Kingston, Jamaica, and running consistently well throughout the course of the season. It looks as if it's going to take something in the region of 43.8 or maybe even faster to win at the US trials, and possibly, go on to win in Tokyo in September. So those are some of the events that I'm looking at. Of course, the 200 meters. I called today the agent for Mackenzie Long, who has the second fastest time in the world this year at 21.93. And that event is also one that is going to be significantly challenging for whoever makes the team, because you're looking at a bunch of women in the US right now, and the battle has been running well all year. But the time she's been running, based on time alone, she doesn't get into the top 3. Because then you're looking at a whole bunch of women who are in that category where fast times are par for the course this year. Julian Alfred leads the world with 21.77. And of course, you mentioned, of course, Mackenzie Long, who's run 21.93. And there are a number of women who are running really fast over the 200. Of course, we mentioned Melissa Jefferson Wooden, who's run 21.99 this year. Gabby Thomas, 21.95. Jamisa Ford, 21.99. Tamara Davis, 22.05. Tamara Davis is also in the 100 as well. So you're looking at a bunch of women who is going to take a fast time to win at the US trials this year. Those women will then have to match up against a Julian Alfred and of course a Sherika Jackson, who is the defending champion in Tokyo. So this year it looks as if the field is going to be even deeper than before, because even if you look outside the US, you're looking at Dina Asher Smith, who is also training with Coach Florial, who is running fast as well this year. So it's going to be extremely deep and extremely fast. I think the times are going to be outstanding. It's just a pity that some of those races will not be shown live on TV, because I don't know what USA Track and Field is thinking, but certainly something needs to change for that, to change in terms of getting the fans to be able to see the sport that many of us love, but so many in the United States are unable to see. That's going to wrap there for tonight. Of course, we'll have another look at the championships after the championships end next on the weekend. We'll probably have another video for you up on Monday to look at the results and look at what that means for those athletes going into the World Championships in Tokyo. But until next time, keep adding your comments below. We're looking forward to them. We really enjoy them, and of course they're engaging. And remember to subscribe and like our content here on Mr. Analyst. Until next time, this is Leighton saying goodbye. Bye bye.